Miles Parks McCollum, the boy who would become Lil Yachty, was born on August 23rd, 1997, in Mableton, Georgia, a suburb just outside of Atlanta. Growing up in this quiet town, Miles was surrounded by a loving family, including his father, Shannon McCollum, a professional photographer with a keen eye for artistry and culture. From a young age, Miles was exposed to the creative world through his father's work, which often brought him into contact with musicians, artists, and other creative minds. This early exposure planted the seeds for his future in the arts, even if he didn't quite know it at the time. As a child, Miles was quiet and introspective, often spending hours lost in thought or doodling in his notebooks. Unlike many of his peers who were drawn to the typical activities of childhood, Miles was more interested in exploring the vast world of music and the internet. The internet, in particular, became his escape, a portal to endless possibilities and cultures far beyond the confines of Mableton. He spent countless hours on platforms like YouTube and Tumblr, absorbing everything from obscure music videos to fashion trends that were light years ahead of what his classmates were into. Music was a constant in the McCollum household, with Miles's parents playing everything from classic soul and funk to modern hip-hop. His father's eclectic taste in music deeply influenced Miles, introducing him to a wide range of genres that would later blend into his own unique style. He grew up listening to artists like Outkast, Coldplay, and Lil B, each leaving a distinct mark on his musical psyche. Outkast, in particular, resonated with him. Their ability to push boundaries and blend genres would later inspire his approach to music. Despite his love for music, Miles didn't initially see himself as a future artist. He was more interested in the visual aspects of culture, fashion, art, and photography, mirroring his father's creative pursuits. However, this would change as he entered his teenage years, a time when most young people are searching for identity and direction. For Miles, this search led him to New York City, where he attended college for a brief period. The move to New York was a pivotal moment in his life, offering him a new perspective on what was possible. The city's vibrant culture and endless opportunities were intoxicating, and it wasn't long before Miles began to envision a different path for himself. One that didn't involve It wasn't long before Lil Yachty began to gain traction online. His first big break came with the release of his song One Night, which quickly went viral after being featured in a comedic video on Vine. The song's catchy hook and unique style caught the attention of millions, and suddenly Lil Yachty was a name to watch in the music world. As One Night continued to climb the charts, Miles knew that he was on the verge of something big. The boy from Mableton, Georgia, who had once dreamed of escaping the confines of his small town, was now poised to take the music industry by storm. And with his unique blend of internet, savvy marketing, bold aesthetics, and an unmistakable sound, Lil Yachty was ready to make waves. Lil Yachty wasn't just a stage name. It was a carefully crafted persona that Miles McCollum embodied to stand out in the crowded world of hip-hop. As he fully embraced this new identity, everything about him began to change, from his style to his sound and even his worldview. He was no longer just Miles, the quiet kid from Mableton. Now he was Lil Yachty, a bold and confident artist ready to take the world by storm. The creation of the Lil Yachty image wasn't an overnight transformation. It was a gradual process that involved a lot of trial and error. Miles knew that to make a name for himself, he needed more than just good music. He needed a look, a vibe, something that would make people remember him. His love for nautical themes naturally led him to the idea of adopting a boat-inspired persona. The ocean, with its vastness and mystery, represented freedom and adventure, values that Miles deeply resonated with. He wanted to be seen as a pioneer, someone who was navigating uncharted waters in the music industry. The first step in creating Lil Yachty's image was the hair. The bright red braids that would become his signature look were not just a fashion statement, they were a declaration of independence from the norms of the rap industry. While most rappers were sticking to traditional styles, Lil Yachty was making a statement with every strand of his colorful hair. The look was instantly recognizable, setting him apart from other artists and making him a talking point in both the music and fashion worlds. Along with the red hair came a wardrobe that was just as distinctive. Lil Yachty's style was a mix of streetwear and high fashion, often featuring bold colors, oversized silhouettes, and, of course, nautical-themed accessories. He was influenced by the fashion of the 90s, a decade known for its vibrant and eclectic styles, which he infused with his own modern twist. This unique blend of old and new, high and low, made him a trendsetter in the world of fashion, attracting the attention of designers and brands eager to collaborate with him. But the most important part of Lil Yachty's persona was, of course, the music. By the time he fully embraced his new identity, Miles had already been experimenting with a sound that was unlike anything else in hip-hop at the time. His music was bright, melodic, and heavily auto-tuned, with lyrics that were playful and often surreal. It was a stark contrast to the gritty, hard-hitting style that dominated the rap scene, but that was exactly what Lil Yachty wanted. He wasn't interested in following trends, he wanted to create them. In early 2016, Lil Yachty released his debut mixtape, Lil Boat, which quickly caught the attention of both fans and critics. The mixtape was an introduction to the world of Lil Yachty, featuring a blend of upbeat anthems and more introspective tracks that showcased his versatility as an artist. Songs like One Night and Minnesota became instant hits, with their catchy hooks and infectious melodies making them favorites on streaming platforms and social media. What set Lil Boat apart from other projects at the time was its sense of fun and lightheartedness. While many artists were focused on delivering serious, often dark messages, Lil Yachty was all about having a good time. His music was a celebration of youth, freedom, and individuality, themes that resonated with a generation of listeners who were tired of the same old narratives in hip-hop. This fresh perspective, combined with his unique sound and image, made Lil Yachty a breath of fresh air in the industry. The success of Lil Boat was more than just a personal victory for Lil Yachty. It was proof that there was a place in hip-hop for artists who didn't fit the traditional mold. His rise to fame challenged the status quo, opening the door for other young artists who, like him, were looking to make their mark on the industry without conforming to its expectations. As Lil Boat continued to gain traction, so did Lil Yachty's reputation as a trendsetter and influencer. He quickly became a sought-after collaborator, working with artists across genres who were eager to tap into his unique sound and style. From rappers to pop stars, everyone wanted a piece of the Lil Yachty magic. His collaborations with artists like DRAM on Broccoli and Chance the Rapper on Mixtape only solidified his status as one of the most exciting new voices in music. But with fame came scrutiny. As Lil Yachty's profile grew, so did the criticism. Many in the hip-hop community didn't know what to make of this young artist, with his auto-tuned vocals and carefree lyrics. Some dismissed him as a mumble rapper, a label that was often used to undermine the artistry of a new generation of rappers who prioritized melody and vibe over complex lyricism. But Lil Yachty wasn't fazed by the critics. In fact, he embraced the label, turning it into a badge of honor. For him, being a mumble rapper wasn't a negative. It was a sign that he was doing something different, something that was shaking up the industry. Lil Yachty's ability to stay true to himself in the face of criticism was one of his greatest strengths. While many young artists might have crumbled under the pressure to conform, he doubled down on what made him unique. He continued to push boundaries with his music, refusing to let anyone put him in a box. This unwavering confidence in his vision is what set him apart from his peers and ensured that Lil Yachty wasn't just a passing fad, but a force to be reckoned with. By the end of 2016, Lil Yachty had firmly established himself as one of the most innovative and influential artists of his generation. His debut mixtape had not only introduced the world to his unique sound and style, but had also laid the foundation for what would become a groundbreaking career. Lil Yachty had arrived, and he was here to stay. The release of Lil Boat in March 2016 marked a turning point in Lil Yachty's career. The mixtape wasn't just a collection of songs. It was a bold statement that introduced the world to a new sound, one that blended elements of trap, pop, and electronic music into something that felt entirely fresh and unexpected. From the opening track to the final notes, Lil Boat was a journey into Lil Yachty's unique universe, a place where carefree vibes and infectious melodies reigned supreme. One of the most striking things about Lil Boat was its duality. The mixtape featured two distinct personas: Lil Yachty, the happy-go-lucky, upbeat character who delivered playful anthems, and Lil Boat, a darker, more introspective side that explored deeper emotions. This contrast added a layer of complexity to the project, showing that Lil Yachty was more than just a one-dimensional artist. He could switch between moods with ease, offering listeners a well-rounded experience that was both entertaining and emotionally resonant. The breakout tracks One Night and Minnesota quickly became fan favorites, thanks to their catchy hooks and memorable production. One Night, with its smooth melodic flow and lighthearted lyrics, captured the carefree essence of youth. It was a song that didn't take itself too seriously, yet it resonated deeply with a generation that was craving something different from the usual fare of hip-hop. The song's viral success on platforms like Vine and YouTube only added to its appeal, turning Lil Yachty into an overnight sensation. Minnesota, on the other hand, showcased Lil Yachty's ability to craft a catchy anthem with a unique twist. The song's chorus, with its repetitive and infectious "cold like Minnesota" refrain, quickly became a staple at parties and on social media. The track's quirky production, featuring twinkling synths and bouncy rhythms, further set it apart from the more aggressive sounds dominating the charts at the time. Minnesota wasn't just a song, it was a vibe, and it encapsulated everything that made Lil Yachty's music so appealing. But Lil Boat wasn't just about fun and games. The mixtape also featured tracks that delved into more serious topics, such as loneliness, self-doubt, and the pressures of growing up. Songs like Not My Bro and Up Next 2 offered a glimpse into Lil Yachty's struggles, showing that behind the cheerful persona was a young man grappling with the challenges of life in the spotlight. This willingness to be vulnerable added depth to the project, making it clear that Lil Yachty was an artist with something to say. The success of Lil Boat caught the attention of major labels, and it wasn't long before Lil Yachty signed a deal with Quality Control Music, a powerhouse in the hip-hop industry. This partnership gave him the resources and support he needed to take his career to the next level. With Quality Control behind him, Lil Yachty was able to expand his reach, collaborating with some of the biggest names in the industry and gaining access to a broader audience. One of the key factors in Lil Yachty's rise was his ability to connect with his fans in a way that felt genuine and authentic. Unlike many artists who kept a certain distance from their audience, Lil Yachty embraced social media as a tool to build a community around his music. He was active on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, where he shared snippets of his life, interacted with fans, and promoted his work. This direct engagement made his fans feel like they were part of his journey, creating a loyal following that supported him through thick and thin. As Lil Boat continued to gain momentum, Lil Yachty's profile rose rapidly. He became a fixture at major music festivals, where his energetic performances and charismatic stage presence won over crowds. His live shows were a reflection of his music, bright, fun, and full of life. Whether he was performing in front of thousands of fans at Coachella or headlining his own tour, Lil Yachty brought an infectious energy to the stage that left audiences wanting more. But with fame came new challenges, As Lil Yachty's star continued to rise, so did the scrutiny. Critics were quick to label him as a mumble rapper, a term that was often used dismissively to describe artists who focused more on melody and vibe than on complex lyricism. While some saw Lil Yachty's music as a refreshing departure from the norm, others were less enthusiastic, questioning whether he had the skills and substance to sustain a long-term career in hip-hop. Lil Yachty faced these criticisms head-on. He understood that his music wasn't for everyone, but he wasn't interested in pleasing the masses. Instead, he focused on staying true to his vision, continuing to create music that reflected his personality and experiences. For Lil Yachty, success wasn't about fitting into a predefined mold. It was about breaking new ground and pushing the boundaries of what hip-hop could be. Despite the naysayers, Lil Yachty's impact on the music industry was undeniable. He was one of the pioneers of the SoundCloud rap movement, a wave of young artists who used the platform to release music independently, bypassing traditional industry gatekeepers. This movement democratized the music industry, giving rise to a new generation of artists who, like Lil Yachty, were unafraid to experiment with their sound and image. By the end of 2016, Lil Yachty had established himself as one of the most exciting new voices in hip-hop. Lil Boat had not only introduced the world to his unique sound, but had also paved the way for a new wave of artists who shared his DIY ethos and creative approach. Lil Yachty had proven that he was more than just a viral sensation. He was a trailblazer who was redefining what it meant to be a rapper in the digital age. As Lil Yachty's fame grew, so did the pressure to maintain his momentum. The music industry is notoriously fickle, and staying relevant in an ever-changing landscape is no easy feat. For Lil Yachty, the challenge was not just to continue making music that resonated with his fans, but also to evolve as an artist while staying true to the playful, carefree persona that had made him a star. Following the success of Lil Boat, Lil Yachty quickly got to work on new projects. His first major studio album, Teenage Emotions, was released in May 2017, just a little over a year after Lil Boat. The album was highly anticipated, with fans eager to see how Lil Yachty would follow up his breakout mixtape. Teenage Emotions was a reflection of Lil Yachty's experiences as a young artist navigating the highs and lows of fame. The album's cover, featuring a diverse group of people, including a same-sex couple kissing, a young man with albinism, and a punk with a mohawk, was a bold statement about inclusivity and individuality, values that Lil Yachty held dear. Musically, Teenage Emotions was a continuation of the sound Lil Yachty had established on Lil Boat, but with a few new twists. The album featured a mix of upbeat anthems, introspective tracks, and collaborations with big-name artists like Migos, Diplo, and YG. Songs like Peekaboo and Bring It Back showcased Lil Yachty's signature style, while tracks like Forever Young, featuring Diplo, experimented with a more electronic, pop-influenced sound. However, Teenage Emotions received mixed reviews from critics. While some praised the album's diversity and boldness, others were less impressed, arguing that it lacked the cohesion and innovation of Lil Boat. The album debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200 chart. A respectable showing, but not the runaway success that some had expected. For the first time, Lil Yachty was faced with the reality that not every project would be a home run. Despite the lukewarm reception to Teenage Emotions, Lil Yachty remained undeterred. He understood that part of being an artist was taking risks, and he wasn't afraid to experiment with his sound, even if it meant facing criticism. For him, the album was a learning experience, a chance to explore new ideas and push the boundaries of his creativity. In the months following the release of Teenage Emotions, Lil Yachty continued to make moves in the industry. He collaborated with a wide range of artists, from hip-hop legends to rising stars, further cementing his place in the music world. He also ventured into other areas of entertainment, including acting, fashion, and brand partnerships. His infectious personality and unique style made him a natural fit for the world of fashion, where he became a muse for designers and a regular at fashion weeks around the globe. One of the highlights of this period was Lil Yachty's collaboration with Nautica, a brand that had long been associated with nautical themes, perfect for an artist whose very name evoked images of the sea. As a creative designer for the brand, Lil Yachty brought his distinct style to the clothing line, infusing it with bright colors, bold patterns, and of course, a heavy dose of Yachty flair. The collaboration was a hit, showcasing Lil Yachty's versatility as an artist and his ability to influence not just music, but culture as a whole. As Lil Yachty's influence grew, so did his confidence. He had proven that he was more than just a mumble rapper. He was an artist with a vision, one who wasn't afraid to challenge conventions and break new ground. Whether it was through his music, his fashion collaborations, or his social media presence, Lil Yachty was always pushing the envelope, always looking for new ways to express himself and connect with his audience. But as with any artist who rises to fame quickly, there were also challenges: the pressure to stay relevant, to keep producing hits, and to navigate the often cutthroat nature of the music industry was immense. Lil Yachty faced these challenges with the same positive attitude that had defined his career from the start. He knew that there would be ups and downs, but he was determined to keep moving forward, to keep creating, and to keep pushing the boundaries of what was possible. By the end of 2017, Lil Yachty had firmly established himself as one of the most influential young artists in hip hop. He had navigated the challenges of fame with grace, continued to evolve as an artist, and remained true to the playful, carefree persona that had made him a star. But even as he enjoyed the fruits of his success, Lil Yachty knew that his journey was far from over. There were still new horizons to explore, new sounds to create, and new challenges to overcome. And as he looked ahead to the future, one thing was clear: Lil Yachty was just getting started. By the time Lil Yachty entered the next phase of his career, he had already proven himself as a trailblazer in the music industry. But for Yachty, music was just the beginning. He had always seen himself as more than just a rapper. He was an artist, a creator, and a cultural force. This mindset led him to explore new avenues, expanding his influence beyond the confines of hip-hop. One of Lil Yachty's first major ventures outside of music was in the world of fashion. His collaboration with Nautica, where he served as a creative designer, was just the start. Yachty's unique sense of style, characterized by its bold colors, playful patterns, and nostalgic references to 90s fashion, made him a natural fit in the fashion industry. He became a regular at fashion weeks, rubbing shoulders with designers and influencers who recognized his potential as a style icon. Lil Yachty's influence in fashion didn't stop at his collaboration with Nautica. He was also tapped by other major brands for partnerships and campaigns. His appeal lay in his ability to connect with a younger, trend-savvy audience that valued authenticity and individuality. Whether he was rocking oversized jackets, colorful beanies, or his signature braids, Lil Yachty's fashion choices always made a statement. He was unafraid to take risks, and this fearlessness endeared him to both fans and fashion insiders alike. But it wasn't just his sense of style that made Lil Yachty a sought-after collaborator. It was also his personality. Yachty's infectious positivity and down-to-earth demeanor made him a favorite in an industry often criticized for its pretentiousness. He brought a refreshing energy to every project he was involved in, whether it was a photo shoot, a runway show, or a brand campaign. This made him a valuable asset to brands looking to connect with the next generation of consumers. In addition to fashion, Lil Yachty also ventured into the world of acting. His natural charisma and larger-than-life persona translated well to the screen, leading to roles in films and television shows. One of his most notable appearances was in the 2018 film How High 2, a sequel to the cult classic How High. In the movie, Yachty played the role of Roger, a character whose laid-back attitude and love for fun mirrored Yachty's real-life personality. The film was a hit with fans of the original, and it further solidified Yachty's status as a multi-talented entertainer. Yachty's foray into acting didn't stop with How High 2. He also appeared in a number of music videos, both his own and those of other artists, where his energetic performances added a new dimension to the visuals. His presence on screen was magnetic, and it was clear that he had a natural talent for entertaining. This opened the door to more opportunities in the entertainment industry, including potential future roles in films and television. But perhaps one of the most significant aspects of Lil Yachty's expansion beyond music was his impact on youth culture. As a young artist who had risen to fame in the digital age, Yachty understood the power of social media and the internet in shaping culture. He used his platform not only to promote his music and fashion endeavors, but also to connect with his fans on a deeper level. Yachty was known for his candidness online, whether he was sharing glimpses of his personal life, offering words of encouragement to his followers, or speaking out on social issues. Yachty's authenticity and relatability made him a role model for many young people, particularly those who felt like outsiders. He championed individuality and self-expression, encouraging his fans to embrace who they were and to pursue their passions without fear of judgment. This message resonated with a generation that was increasingly rejecting traditional norms and seeking new ways to define themselves. In addition to his influence on youth culture, Lil Yachty also made waves in the business world. He recognized early on that his brand extended beyond music, and he was quick to capitalize on this. Yachty became involved in various entrepreneurial ventures, from investments in tech startups to launching his own merchandise line. He was savvy in his business dealings, always looking for ways to expand his brand while staying true to his values. One of Yachty's most notable business ventures was the launch of his line of flavored chips called Rap Snacks. The brand featured unique flavors inspired by Yachty's favorite foods, and the packaging prominently displayed his image, further cementing his status as a pop culture icon. Rap Snacks was a hit, and it showcased Yachty's ability to successfully merge his love for food with his business acumen. Yachty's ventures outside of music weren't just about making money, they were about building a legacy. He wanted to be remembered not just as a rapper, but as a creative force who had an impact on multiple industries. Whether it was through fashion, acting, entrepreneurship, or his influence on youth culture, Lil Yachty was determined to leave his mark on the world. As Yachty's career continued to evolve, one thing remained constant: his commitment to staying true to himself. He had built his career on authenticity, and he wasn't about to change that. Whether he was making music, designing clothes, or launching a new business venture, Yachty always brought his unique perspective to the table. This unwavering sense of self was what had propelled him to success in the first place, and it was what would continue to guide him as he navigated the next chapter of his career. As Lil Yachty approached the next phase of his career, he began to reflect on the legacy he was building. He had achieved more in a few short years than many artists do in a lifetime, but for Yachty, this was just the beginning. He was acutely aware of his influence, not only on the music industry, but on popular culture as a whole, and he was determined to use that influence to make a lasting impact. One of the ways Lil Yachty sought to cement his legacy was by mentoring the next generation of artists. He had always been a champion of young talent, and as he gained more experience in the industry, he began to take on a more active role in helping up-and-coming artists navigate the challenges of the music business. Yachty understood better than most the struggles that young artists faced, whether it was dealing with criticism, finding their unique voice, or navigating the complexities of fame. He wanted to share the knowledge he had gained, not just to help others succeed, but to ensure that the music industry continued to evolve in a positive direction. In addition to mentoring, Lil Yachty also used his platform to advocate for social change. He was never one to shy away from speaking his mind, and as his influence grew, so did his commitment to using his voice for good. Whether it was advocating for racial equality, speaking out on mental health issues, or supporting charitable causes, Yachty made it clear that he was more than just an entertainer. He was a leader in his community. Yachty's activism wasn't limited to just words. He also put his money where his mouth was. He was involved in various philanthropic efforts, from donating to local charities in his hometown of Atlanta to supporting national initiatives aimed at helping underserved communities. Yachty understood the importance of giving back, and he was committed to using his success to make a positive impact on the world. As Lil Yachty looked to the future, he remained focused on continuing to grow as an artist and as a person. He was constantly exploring new sounds and experimenting with different genres, refusing to be pigeonholed into one style. Yachty's willingness to take risks and push the boundaries of his music ensured that he remained relevant in an industry that was always changing. One of Yachty's most ambitious projects was his work on a rock-inspired album, a departure from the hip-hop sound that had made him famous. This new direction was met with skepticism from some, but for Yachty, it was just another opportunity to challenge himself and expand his artistic horizons. He was excited about the possibilities, and he was eager to see how his fans would respond to this new chapter in his career. But even as he explored new musical territory, Lil Yachty never lost sight of what had brought him to this point. He remained deeply connected to his roots in hip-hop, always looking for ways to honor the genre that had given him his start. Yachty continued to collaborate with other artists, both established and emerging, always seeking to create music that was innovative and impactful. In many ways, Lil Yachty's journey was a reflection of the larger changes happening in the music industry. As the lines between genres continued to blur, and as new technologies and platforms reshaped how music was created and consumed, Yachty remained at the forefront of this evolution. He was a pioneer of the digital age, a testament to the power of creativity and individuality in an industry that often favored conformity. As Lil Yachty's legacy continued to grow, so did his influence on the next generation of artists. He had opened the door for a new wave of musicians who, like him, were unafraid to be different, unafraid to take risks, and unafraid to challenge the status quo. Yachty had proven that success didn't have to come at the expense of authenticity, and that staying true to oneself was the key to both artistic fulfillment and long-term success. Looking ahead, the future seemed bright for Lil Yachty. He had already accomplished so much, but there was no doubt that he had even bigger plans on the horizon. Whether it was through music, fashion, acting, or philanthropy, Yachty was determined to continue making his mark on the world. He was an artist in the truest sense of the word, always evolving, always creating, and always looking for new ways to express himself. And as he continued to navigate the ever-changing landscape of the music industry, one thing was certain: Lil Yachty was here to stay. His influence would be felt for years to come, not just in hip-hop, but in popular culture as a whole. He was a symbol of what was possible when creativity, individuality, and determination came together, a reminder that the only limits were the ones we set for ourselves. Lil Yachty's story was far from over, and the world was eagerly watching to see what he would do next. Whatever the future held, one thing was clear: Lil Yachty would continue to ride the waves of success, charting his own course and inspiring others to do the same.